Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Legacy Leaders. Today, I'm joined by Evan Duignan from Alphamated. He is the CEO and founder of a pretty cool organization. So, before we get into all the details, I'm going to turn the microphone and the camera over to Evan so he can tell us a little bit about himself, his story, and what's so cool at Alphamated. So, the microphone and camera are yours, my friend. Evan, introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Scott, for having me on today. Hi, guys. My name's Evan Degnan. Like Scott had mentioned, I had started a company called Alphamated. Uh, Alphamated started as an idea when I used to be a dishwasher at Joey's Italian Grill in Chardon, Ohio, which is a little bit outside of Cleveland area. Uh, had the idea the one night to come up with an automated silverware rolling machine. But ideas are praised, execution is worshipped. And so ended up going through a pretty long grind and hustle and path in order to create a machine that automates the silverware rolling process in a napkin. Uh, I have taken a design, which was back of the napkin sketches on paper napkin at best. I wasn't ever the best drawer. It's all the way to forming partnerships with top restaurant hospitality leaders, including Cameron Mitchell, Walter Strum, and now expanding across the country in major markets, including Chicago, Florida, and Texas, and international markets, including Canada and Europe. So that's the high level story, 30,000 foot view. It took a lot to get to even this point. We're going to go a lot further. So, yeah, thanks for having me on, Scott.
Well, it's awesome. So I don't think too many people think about um, how their silverware and napkin get to the table, right?
Yeah.
Like nobody thinks about it. Well, I would be honest and say many restaurants I've been in the corner, you see an employee taking a knife, a fork, and a spoon, putting it on a napkin and rolling it up. So you've changed that whole dynamic. Walk us through, okay, how's this all work?
Yeah. So, to your point, Scott, the status quo doesn't get questioned a lot. Like, if it just, it's how it's always been, is a
Hmm.
very common path for a lot of processes and systems in today's world. But how the product works, right? So you take the silverware that comes from the dish tank. So restaurants, for people who aren't aware, have this dish washer that's huge compared to what you have at home normally. And the silverware runs through the dish tank, and you take the silverware from the dish tank and then load it into the machine like cartridge, like gun clip for ammo, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and, then, and then you take the pack of napkins from like your local or major distributor, take the pack of napkins, slide that into the machine, and then you take the bands, which we developed a proprietary roll. So normally it comes pre-cut in a box, and now it's on a roll similar to receipt paper for like a POS system. Uh, you plug that all that in, type in how many rolls that you want, and then it shoots it out for you automatically. No hands or guidance needed, other than a simple user interface in which you tell the machine how many rolls that you want, and then it just spits it out in the background. So we're able to take what would normally take someone 3, 4 hours of labor and everything to just a few minutes of load time, and then it just spits out in the background for you. So that's the main gist of it all.
So we're saving anywhere between 3 to 4 hours worth of activity by allowing the machine to do the work.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And
Okay.
even more if you're doing an absurd amount of volume, like say a hospital system, so to speak. Yeah,
Okay. So I'm looking at a value proposition that not only saves time, right, but it allows individuals to do the work they're supposed to do by being better servers, better interaction for customer service, and more productivity happens within the institution, whether it's a hospital or a restaurant, right? Because you're taking a very laborious lengthy process and allowing it to be automated. So now people get a chance to be better at their jobs. You're not
Hmm.
replacing jobs, right? I'm assuming you're
No,
not replacing jobs. You're just
no,
making things easier and better for people to actually function.
yeah.
And that's, I mean, wow. You talk about a value proposition. Every business in the world would love a value proposition like this, right?
Hmm.
I'm going to
Hmm.
step in and make this easier. So when you think about what's the cost ROI on something like this?
Yeah. So the big thing I will say is, and this is the reality of like real entrepreneurship. Just because we're releasing the product and everything, right, and and we will continue to iterate on respective versions. I'm not going to sell this to say the local mom and pop and everything too, right?
Yeah.
Just because at this point it may not make sense for them because like the machine's technology might be overkill for someone who's doing only maybe 100 or 200 rolls like a night or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Um, but as far as like an ROI is concerned, I mean, the necessary pivot that you have to go through for entrepreneurship are critical. And the one was we had the piece of equipment, right? And the common premise is to take the piece of equipment and sell, price it X and sell it for Y, right? But if we look at all the like major like paper towel distributors, or like when you go to like a restaurant, like the Centoses and the Torks of the world, they just do a consumable contract. So in which they give you the piece of equipment for like a nominal fee, and then you just have a consumable contract. So the ROI is technically month one based on a consumable contract. So there's like a upfront fee that you pay, and then depending on the length of your consumable contract determines the upfront fee, and then therefore you're cash flow positive in
Hmm.
first time you have the piece of technology, so to speak.
Okay. So would it be easy to say it's a razor blade kind of mentality,
Yep. Perfect.
right?
Perfect. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a
Hmm.
piece of capital equipment is presented or placed at a discount, or there's a contractual obligation that says you're gonna roll so many a day and a week, whatever, and in consumables. I think it's a really easy way to have somebody buy into the program because it's an immediate return, as you said, right? So
Hmm.
that's a huge piece.
Yeah.
So if the threshold is 200, probably not. What do you say to the audience when they ask the question? Okay, how many do I need to roll, or how many this consumables am I looking at in order to make this justifiable? Is
Yeah.
what's the number you have in your head?
Yeah. Like 250
Okay.
is like we look at for now, mind you, that's for the sake of this, like the state of Ohio, so to speak. One of the things that's really interesting that's popping up, and I've mentioned international markets.
Hmm.
Uh, International markets might be 150 to 100 roles and everything, due to the fact that they don't run on tip wage normally for their respective organizations, right? And so their labor costs are infinitely higher.
Yeah.
So if you're spending even 2 or 3 hours and everything rolling, which is about that 200 roll threshold, then I mean, at 22 euro like an hour and everything every day and everything too, right? I
Hmm.
mean, it very quickly adds up too. So I go at it from that angle, if that makes sense, to give a better understanding of the whole picture. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. From financially, it makes complete sense internationally because of the difference in wages on wait staff. But take that aside, I don't want to let go of the idea that your product or your system allows for better customer service, because instead of somebody spending a couple hours rolling the silverware, they can actually be mentally prepared for and ready to be a better customer service ambassador for whoever they work for. To
Yeah,
me, that's
100%.
one of the biggest, right? Because you think about restaurants, their number one, granted, the food has to be good. But
Hmm.
if the service is discombobulated or not connected to the experience you wanted, you're never going to go back there. So
Oh
this
yeah.
is something that separates a restaurant into the idea of we can have our people doing the jobs they are meant to be doing. And when they do it,
Mhm.
especially in the United States, they can be better at their job and make more money from a tip perspective because they're better at customer service because they're not drained down by a
Yeah,
couple hours a day or a week, whatever, rolling
yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that.
No, yeah, that's a great point, though, and that is spot on. As someone, as I was saying, I worked in the industry for a decade and everything before starting this, and so I have a different lens than say just I came in and started this just because of a good idea, right? I understand like the ecosystem dichotomy, right? Like
Yeah.
I used to joke that I wish I was an octopus that could like run at 50 miles an hour and I could be able to get more done. So anything that kind of like that mental acuity or capital, like anything that allows for like the servers or the hosts or hostess or literally anyone in the establishment to have like more mental bandwidth in order to handle like customers is the more the merrier on that one because it's a very finite tapped resource a lot of times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree. There's the opportunity to serve your customer, and there's the opportunity to miss serving your customer. And when you take the opportunity to serve them, you're going to get great reviews. You're going to get a lot of people coming into the door because the experience is what brings people back. I love the idea of it. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you've been doing this for a while, right? What would you say are some of the challenges that you've faced and were able to overcome that other business owners should think about? And again, not every business owner is developing a machine that automates the process that you've automated, but as a business owner, what is it that you think is a challenge that people can avoid by just listening to what your experiences have been? So what would you say that is?
As far as like, because there's the business side of it all, and then there's the general premise of entrepreneurship. So the business side of it, I'll touch on that first, and the entrepreneurial side of it all too. So the business side is start customer discovery early as possible. Like really get in the weeds. I'm talking like have a drink with them and like ask the hard questions, right? And really get to know them, establish a relationship. Like I want to know Bob, what Bob's all about, and then I want to find out about his establishment, and vice versa too. So start like a real like personal relationship, and start to ask as many questions and everything too as well. The other portion is be open to whatever viewpoint or thought process that you have on the company or business. Be open to changing uh, based on feedback, either from the market or experts or etc.
Yeah.
Don't be as stubborn as your ways as you may want to be, and everything. Have a malleable mindset, so to speak.
Okay.
Um, Entrepreneurship, and then just the general premise of it all. You need to have a resounding sense of belief, a sense of like I can be the person that I need to be in order to take it to this particular goal, and kind of like have your identity in line with that. Uh, the
Hmm.
other thought process is in order to be like really in the entrepreneurial game, it recognize everything takes longer than you think. It's going to take a lot more. A lot of people think it's like solely just business that you look at, but like the game that you play with yourself, the relationships you have, the environment, what you listen to, like everything comes together in order to create like this one like whole system, so to speak, which then uh, gets channeled into what is your basically your expression in the world, so to speak, which is your business and everything. But it really starts at the root of you as like a person, though, too, and you can't
I love it.
separate the two. You know what I mean?
No, 100%. The idea that the environment that you submerge yourself into has to be the environment that's going to allow you to be successful. And for
Mhm.
whatever reason, people love to surround themselves with those that may not necessarily have their best interest in mind. So they get a little bit of negativity from a friend or a colleague, and all of a sudden they start doubting themselves. But if you submerge yourself into an environment that you create on your own that is supportive and has a right mindset of ownership, accountability, and responsibility for yourself, you start eliminating the negativity because it cannot impact you anymore, right? Your
Yeah.
mindset is so positive that you ignore the negativity because there's no reason to be negative when I'm trying to build something successful. So when I'm
Hmm.
building this, I want to have the right mindset. And there's something you made comment to earlier. I have to have a sense of belief in who I am and what I need to be in order to have this thing take place. And there's an old equation that we use in my business. It's called be times do equals have. I need to be the person I need to be in order to do the things I need to do to have what I want.
Mm.
Right? If you
Yeah.
work your way through that mentality, it's like if I'm trying to be negative, I'm going to be a negative person. But if I want to be positive, I want to be somebody of a vehicle of change, if I want to be the person that brings about a difference in my life, then I know this is who I am mentally. Then
Yeah.
I go out and do those things because I believe in myself, because I've been established a mindset that allows me to do that. If I am the person I want to be and I'm doing the things I should be doing, it's inevitable I will have the things I want. And
Yeah.
that's a great mindset to have.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I appreciate you bringing that to us, man, because that's pretty good.
Yeah.
When
No, that identity piece and everything is critical, though, to your point. That frame of mind is critical. That's like a foundational piece right there for sure.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, well, there's that whole mindset of the identity iceberg, right? Who you are, the behaviors you display above the water are great because that's what people see. But underneath that water is where your values, your belief systems, and your decision making really come into play because
Mhm.
that's your support system. That's who you are and the environment that you build for yourself, whether it's eliminating people that are negative or attracting positivity. Either way, you're doing the right thing for yourself, but you
Yeah.
then have the right decisions and behaviors because your mindset is right. That's just who
Mm-hmm.
you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good piece. I really like that conversation because people today are so consumed with who they think they should be instead of actually being the person they want to be in order to
Mm-hmm.
get what they have. So thank you for having that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I would ask you, now that you've doing this and you've got some lessons learned, what are a lesson or what are some things that you think are worthy of other people getting to know? Right? You've been through this, what trials and tribulations like we talked about before, but what's a lesson that if you had to teach a class, what would the lesson be?
Yeah. Oh man. So going through it, uh, I feel like there's a ton. Honestly, first
Yeah.
off, it's not just it's hard. It's so hard to just pick one. Um, I would say the biggest thing, honestly, is curate who talks into your ear, and curate who's in your circle. Um, you'd be amazed at how many people have an idea or a business and everything that they tell their spouse or their significant other or their buddy and everything, and they just downplay it or try to dismiss it or something like that. And then their brilliance and everything, because they placed value of that person's opinion over the value of their own opinion, and they put
Mhm.
that on top as opposed to their own on top, it just completely snuffs out what could have been something
Mhm.
amazing. You know what I mean? And so I will say that's probably one of the big things is unless it's customers and everything, don't let people talk you out of your vision, so to speak. You know what I mean?
No, I
Uh,
get that. And I just wrote a note here because I like what you had to say. It's like grab advice, but be wary of where that advice comes from,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
And
Yeah.
and this is such a weird thing. And I love this analogy because it just plays right into the mindset piece, right? If you were to get a bucket of crabs, right, and watch their behavior, one crab tries to climb to the top and the other crabs will grab it and bring it down because they don't want the crab to go anywhere. They don't want
Mhm.
the crab to escape. I don't know why, but I've seen the experiment. I've seen this discussion take place multiple times. It makes no sense, but there's a crab trying to better itself by getting out of this bucket, and the other crabs
Yeah.
will bring it
Yeah.
down. So
Well,
it's nice, like you said, Evan, grab advice, listen to what people are telling you because it might be valuable, but be wary where that information comes from. If it's coming from a customer that says, I really liked what you did here, okay, we should keep doing that. If they tell you, I really like this, but okay, we should listen to you. If
mhm,
it's a competitor telling you or somebody that is trying to bring you down, saying you should do this because I think it would make things better, you have to be wary of that because why are
mhm,
you telling me something that's a negative about what my vision and dream is? And
yeah,
that's where you have to separate, right? Your
yeah,
mindset from the good stuff from the bad stuff. That's a really good lesson because I think a lot of business owners, especially those that are young, and what I mean by young is they haven't owned their business for a very long period of time. Those people are easily swayed because they're trying so desperately to get to the next level that they're
yeah,
failing to recognize the foundation I build today is going to give me a mansion down the road. And I
yeah, yeah.
think more people need to do that. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, the reason I gave that lesson as opposed to like maybe a lesson in a year, in 6 months or 2 years in the journey, though, too, is like I see so many instances where like people want to get in entrepreneurship, they want to start a business and everything, and they let like examples like people talking them out of it and everything
Mhm.
like stop there. You know what I mean? And so I'm trying to do everything that I can when I'm talking to like hit that particular lens or point because I see that happen far too often. And I'm just like wondering what type of innovation could happen, or just like businesses or like lifestyles could be changed.
Mhm.
It's like attacked it at the foundational root cause, and like I was a voice of reason, in the sense of chaos, which is trying to get into entrepreneurship. You know what I mean?
Well, I think what you're saying, okay, getting into entrepreneurship, most people are afraid of it because they don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
But once they're in, they realize it's chaos, right? It's chaos because you are
Yeah,
trying to do everything for everyone. And what they fail to recognize is instead of trying to be, like you said, the octopus that has all these different tentacles and be able to touch eight different things at once, if you focus on the three things that are directly in front of you, you'll be successful because you handle three things at a time and you can move
yeah,
forward, right?
yeah.
It's entering that entrepreneurial mindset that says I need to be everything to everybody and changing it to I need to do what I need to do right now in order to be successful. So when you
Yeah.
plot this stuff out, what's most important right now and who's responsible to get it done? If it's
Mm-hmm.
me, by all means, let me get it done. If it's a teammate, I got to make sure that that teammate is doing what they need to do to get to the next stage. It's
Yeah.
not more complicated than that, right? But we
Mm-hmm.
tend to make it complicated because for whatever reason, as human beings, we love making stuff complicated just for the sake of making it complicated, right?
That's true.
Right? We're an interesting species in that we love making stuff complicated. Don't know why, we just do. What we're trying to tell people through this series, and I appreciate you being on here and supporting the mission, is it's okay to be an entrepreneur for the right reasons. It's okay to be an entrepreneur because it's not as hard as you want to make it out to be. It is hard. I'm not going to say it's an easy path, but don't make it any harder than necessary. And the lessons that you've explained through our conversation today, I think help people out and let them realize, all right, stay true to form, get the right mindset in place. And when you do get yourself up and running, listen to the right voices. Because if you're
Mm-hmm.
listening to the wrong voice, you're going to get steered in the wrong direction. So I think
Yeah.
that's worthwhile. I
Yeah.
really do. Good stuff. All right. So as you build this business, you want to go international. Um, what would you say right now is your biggest challenge to get to the next level?
Uh, Making sure everything is up to the standard, that I want it to be as I start to like push it out even further too.
Hmm.
Delegation probably is another one that I'm working on. Um, General, a value proposition. Understand people don't know what they don't know until they know it, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm almost introducing a new category, right? So there's that level of education too. That's critical to all of this. Um, I don't know. I think aggressive patience. So there's nothing feels like overwhelming though. Too. I feel like I've
Mhm.
been through this so many damn times where it's like, like anything that may feel like a challenge. I'm like, all right, well, I feel like I've dealt with worse, you know. So it's like,
Good point.
and like I've also got to the point where I'm like, well, I got to this point through sheer like will and
Right.
everything. I can get through this next point with sheer will though, regardless of what it is though. And
Yeah.
like to list off every challenge that I have or I'm going to face and everything would take an eon, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
so, we could spend an hour just talking about the challenges, right? And but
Yeah.
I think it's more or less the how I frame it in my mind, though. Like
Yeah.
the challenge is like as long as I'm strong enough to be able to handle the challenge and I have a positive mindset, then nothing really is going to come in my path and everything that really gets in my way as long as I don't make like fatal decisions. You know what I mean?
No, here's the thing, right? If you have to make 8 decisions, or excuse me, if you have to make 10 decisions a day, 8 of them are good, you can live with that and move forward, right? Because you're
Yeah.
doing what you need to do. I love the idea of you saying that mindset is everything because you're going to hit so many hills and valleys as an entrepreneur. And if you don't have the right mindset of clarity, meaning I know where I'm going, I just need to get through this day. I know where I'm
Yep.
going, I just need to get through this. And again, you talk
Mhm.
about the earlier thing. What I really like to do is focus people on the next 90 days. What is it that is going to happen in the next 90 days that you can influence? Now let's go attack it. And
Yep.
then you realize, okay, now that's behind me. What are the next 90 days going to bring? Okay, let's recalibrate. What are we doing in the next 90 days to hit our mark? And once we start establishing a really cool routine with that, then the entrepreneur mindset comes into play that says, all right, I've been here, I've done this, I got to go to the next one. And you just keep going and keep going. Before you know it, you have this incredible experience, this library type history that you can recall to say, all right, I know how to handle this. No problem. I've been there,
Mhm.
done that. And that's what I really like about this series is there's people that have been in the same shoes you've been in, and they're talking about, all right, this is what it's like to be there
Mhm.
and do that. And here we are, we keep going. So this is good. All right. Last question for you. I have a time machine, Evan, and I'm going to send you back and you get a chance to meet 18-year-old Evan. And you two get to sit on a park bench and have a conversation. What's that conversation sound like?
Oh man. Um, uh, you're really gonna grow up and become who you said you were gonna be when you were young. Uh, just keep on keeping on. Um, invest in Bitcoin, like buy some real estate, like you know what I mean. Uh, I struggle. This is a great question because I have two sides with this. It's like I want to tell them, hey, watch out for XYZ and everything too,
Yeah.
but I almost wonder if those like helped me like forge
Mhm.
like the correct individual to handle higher levels of stress and everything as the quote
Mhm.
unquote game progresses though, you know. uh but then there's the other side where it's like I want you to avoid these pitfalls though too,
Mhm.
XYZ and everything. Here's the top five though, or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's why
But
it's such a great question because it gets you thinking about would I change who I am if I had the opportunity? And what
yeah,
would I change? Right?
I'd probably probably throw myself in the games even sooner.
Mhm.
Increase my self education. Double down on that. Uh, yeah, those would probably be the big ones, honestly. Like educate
No.
myself on all things like sales, marketing, taxes, uh, networking, speaking, like anything that you can do to increase those core critical skills. Spend the time to because if you take the time now, it'll pay off for you in
Mhm.
10, 20 30, 40, 50 years. And those are like anything that you can learn within that. So I'd say build my skill set. Everything else, I kind of like, I mean, I kind of almost liked how it went and everything in some regards. So too, I was
Yeah.
saying chips on your shoulder and cashed it in, right? And so I'm thankful for the moments that created the chips. So even though it
Yeah.
looked like, man, I hate this right now, it was almost like a necessary step to create the mental fortitude that I have now for everything.
And
So
that's the
yeah,
importance of always going back and figuring out, do I or do I not change who I am? And your message is solid. Develop yourself through self-education, learn what you need to learn, and develop a skill set early, but keep your mindset throughout. Positivity is the way to go.
yeah, mm-hmm,
Yeah,
yeah,
good stuff. Evan, thank you so much for being on the program. Again, 30 minutes goes by way too fast, but we had a
yeah.
great
Thank you,
conversation.
Scott.
A lot of good stuff. So, all the information that you need to get in touch with Evan will be in the description down below. And I encourage you to connect with him and find out exactly how Alphamated can help you or your business be better at what you do. So, thanks so much, Evan.
All right, thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Bye now.